In this video, I'm going to see what it's like to road trip in a Tesla. We're going in a Tesla Model 3 from Fort Worth, Texas to Denver, Colorado and back. So our first stop is at an urban supercharger in Fort Worth, Texas. As you can see, these are slightly smaller units than some other Tesla superchargers, and this is the Model 3 that we'll be riding in. I'm riding on this trip with a friend of mine. Rachel's not joining us on the trip, and the reason that he's doing it is he's going to Denver to test drive a Lucid Air at a Lucid studio outside of Denver, Colorado. And the reason I'm on the trip is he is being kind enough to loan us this vehicle for a road trip that Rachel and I are taking to Tennessee in a couple of months, and we'll have a video on that pretty soon. This urban supercharger, we're getting about 65 kilowatts out of it. The car will take more. This is a 2018 Model 3 standard range, so it is the base of Model 3s, and it's got quite a few miles on it. It's a little over 120,000, I think, and I'll get back to you on that. Our next stop after we pull out of here is in Henrietta, Texas. He wants us to have about a 15% buffer. It's his car. I'll listen to him. So right now we have -2 miles of buffer, and we're going to charge until we get he wants to have about a 50-mile buffer, and again, it's his car, so I'm going to do what he has to say. So let's get on the road here in a minute. So we're in Henrietta, Texas. Arrived at 14%. 35 minutes remaining to continue trip. We're getting 126 kilowatts. So this is our first real supercharger stop. As you can see, the superchargers are full size. We were getting like 120 something kilowatts when we started. We're going to be probably hitting the road in about 5 minutes. This is in Henrietta, Texas, at a Texas Best Smokehouse, Shell Station, Steak and Shake, all kinds of stuff inside. Pilots, and they've got these dinosaurs back here that are right over our shoulder. We're getting decent speeds. I don't even feel like we've been here half an hour. Went in, looked around, got a drink, waited around in line, and the thing's almost done charging already. So we'll be back on the road shortly. Next stop is Childress, Texas. Just hit the charge limit. It says $12.35, 176 miles of range. He's not charging anymore. So here we are in Childress, Texas with 7 miles of range. It did say 6. It still says 6. 4% battery left. So this is the supercharger in Childress, Texas. We got here on battery-related fumes. 4% battery, 6 miles of range left, which is fine. I mean, there are other people that are going to say that's the way you're supposed to do it. So we're going to be here for a bit. Next stop for charging is Amarillo. Charging's ramping up. I don't know what kind of speed we're getting right now. According to the app, we're getting 146 kilowatts. We are 35 minutes until the charge limit. We've added 20 miles in the couple of minutes we've been here. Cooling fans just kicked on. Definitely need to get some food while we're here, and then we'll be on the road toward Amarillo. And Amarillo, for us, pull up better route planner. Amarillo is another 109 miles on this next leg, and then after that comes the longest leg of the whole trip. If we choose to go up, take the shorter distance mile-wise and go up through Clayton, New Mexico. And this leg, we didn't have much battery left by the time we got here, and it's not as long as that leg. So we'll see what happens. We might be going through Tucumcari and Santa Rosa and Las Vegas, New Mexico, instead of going through Clayton, but we'll see. This thing right here, very nice addition to the supercharger here at the Childress Pack-a-Sack and Phillips 66, where the Tesla supercharger is. It's nice to have, you know, trash can and windshield squeegees right by the superchargers. There's one on the other side of this supercharger installation as well. So we're able to get our windshield cleaned, and now we're planning out the trip to Amarillo. Since the sun's down, probably not be much to see out the windshield, so probably hear from me in Amarillo here in just a couple of seconds. 95%. And 168 miles of estimated range. We have 108 miles to go. Ramping up with 67, 20 miles of range, 11% battery left. So we are at the East Amarillo Tesla Supercharger, and this is at a pilot truck stop that looked like the frontage road was closed, and so I had to take a little strange route in here. So I've been having fun with the autopilot. I got a nice clip on the last one of the automatic lane change, and that's so fun. Turn on the turn signal, the car changes lanes. That is neat. We are planned right now. We got in with 20 miles of range and 11% projected on the battery. And our plan is to go to the supercharger on the west end of town as soon as this charger ramps down. It had started at 67. Right now we're pulling 142 kilowatts. And the plan is when we get down to about 90, we're going to leave and we're going to go to the next charger up the road, which is maybe about, I don't know how many miles, I got to look it up, but that should cut down our distance. That one's going to be decision time, whether we go through Clayton or whether we go through Tucumcari. But so far I'm having a good time driving this car. It's comfortable enough, kind of maybe. What's the most disconcerting to me at night is not having anything on the dashboard lit up right in front of the steering wheel, because the driver's instrument panel isn't there. It's just the big center screen, and Tesla people are going to know that. And I knew that coming in. I didn't have a problem being able to see the speedometer and all that stuff just glancing over at the big screen. It's big, huge center screen. But it's a little disconcerting at night to just have darkness in front of the steering wheel. But you get used to it. I have learned the right amount of pressure to keep on the wheel, to keep autopilot engaged. Easiest cruise control to adjust speed on that I've ever used in my life. So we'll be here for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to move on to the West Amarillo Supercharger, and we'll be there in just a sec. And now we're at the West Amarillo Supercharger, which is in the parking lot of a lot of hotels, but specifically the Holiday Inn Express behind me. We are going to get the car full here. Now, because of the mileage that this car has, and it's the base model, standard range Model 3, we don't have as much range as other Teslas would. So we're going to have to go up to about 100%. Our next leg, the next supercharger, the route that we want to go, is in Clayton, New Mexico, which is a fairly new supercharger. We don't want to have to stay on Interstate 40 all the way to Santa Rosa, where we would supercharge in Tucumcari, Santa Rosa, then take a New Mexico highway up to Las Vegas to get to the interstate. By going from here to Clayton, it's 124 miles, but there's elevation gain. And our last leg was 120. Our leg from Henrietta to Childress was 128 miles, and we didn't have a whole lot of battery left when we got there. So we're gonna get her to full and just really watch the range buffer and all of that as we go. Since this is his car, since this is Bob's car, I'm taking his advice with his car, and it makes sense. So his plan is stay here, look at the route navigation. When the route navigation says we'll get there with 10% battery left, we're probably good to go, and then just monitor our speed and make sure we never lose that buffer. And if it looks like we might, then we may need to bail out and get back to the interstate and actually go to Tucumcari. But we'll see. So far, this car is very fun to drive. It's very fun to let it drive. It's been playing with the autopilot and getting my pressure right on the steering wheel and all of that. This supercharger's like very dead. At the East Supercharger, truck stop, nice big truck stop, playground, all kinds of stuff we could do. But at that one and here, we're the only vehicle charging. And there's a lot of trucks with trailers in the lot. I don't know if you can see them. But he was telling me sometimes they park the trailers along this wall because it's where they used to park before the supercharger got installed. And I was like, wow, so they could ice the whole charging station. And but they haven't. We've got it all to ourselves, which is cool. My app says 15 minutes total here before we can continue the trip with Clayton as the next destination. But he's wanting to get the car like full, and so we're going to do that. I know that a lot of people are going to say you shouldn't go to 100% at a supercharger, but well, one, we're not blocking it for anybody because there's nobody else here, and two, he bought this car as an older unit. It's not really intended for him anyway. It's intended for a kid that doesn't have a driver's license yet. So in the meantime, we're taking it on this trip because he offered me on this trip to use this car on our trip to Tennessee. So we'll have a lot more interesting stuff with Rachel on that trip with this car. But so far I'm thinking it can do it. It did that 128 mile leg from Henrietta to Childress just fine. And when we were charging in Henrietta, we went up to the charge limit, which he had set at 100%. So that was full. And or no, one of the stops hit the charge limit. We may have hit the charge limit in Childress. But yeah, we'll keep you updated. It's kind of nighttime, so right now I'm not going to get much in the way of driving clips between here and there, maybe just a couple of three before we hit our next supercharger, and I'll keep you updated. So that was what could have been the longest leg of the trip, but we were able to break it up with the that extra charging stop at Amarillo. We are now charging at the Ranch Market in Clayton, New Mexico. Go around so you can kind of see it. I'm being quiet because there's houses across the street and it's 1:16 in the morning right now. Right now, everything's closed. I think the sidewalks have been rolled up for the night, and looking for places to go to the bathroom. Next stop for us after here is Trinidad, Colorado. We're only going to be in New Mexico for about 90 miles, and ish. I think it's about 108 miles to the supercharger in Trinidad, but we're going to be gaining a lot of elevation by the time we get to Raton, New Mexico, and then we hit the interstate, and that's going to take us up the Raton Pass. We get down the Raton Pass, we'll be in Trinidad. So hey, there we go. And there's an apple on the car. Why is there an apple on the car now? Anyway, gonna scout some things out, see what's going on. Car says it's 73 degrees right now. There's some storms up to the north in Colorado, and we're seeing some lightning. We left 100-degree Texas. It was about 85 when we left Amarillo. It's 73 now, and I'm a little chilly. So anyway, that's us. We're going to be here for about 20 minutes, and then we're back on the road to Trinidad, Colorado. So we've made it to the Tesla supercharger at Trinidad, Colorado. It is 6,320 feet elevation according to my Compass app on my phone. 6330. We were at a little over 7,800 feet at the top of the pass about 12 miles ago or so. You can tell we're in Colorado because there's a little green cross behind me. It is 3:20 in the morning, and it is 62 degrees in July, and we left from Texas, so it's cold. Next charging stop is in Colorado Springs, unless we take a short one in Pueblo. But we'll see what's up from there, and I'm cold. I'm gonna get in the car. So we took the bail out and are in Pueblo, Colorado, because couldn't quite make it to Colorado Springs with as much as we would have liked. So we're at a charge point station at Conoco 7-Eleven in Pueblo that is hooked up to the Chatamo connector. And we're charging. We picked up 3% already. Added 4 miles. We're pulling 47 kilowatts. We got in here with plenty of battery because we left Trinidad full. And so we're just going to be here probably for a few minutes, get enough to get to Colorado Springs, I'm guessing. And the sun is coming up, and we've got opera music playing here at the Conoco station. I don't know why, but we do. So there we have it. Like me and you've seen a lot of EV road trip videos that stop at the Tesla Supercharger in Colorado Springs, then you're no doubt familiar with this parking garage where the Tesla Supercharger is. And I'm going to show you mountains in the background, which is cool. I've missed mountains, but there are some mountains over there. This is our last Supercharger stop before we get where we're going. And we've got a lot of extra time, so we're going to swing by, once we get to Denver, we're going to swing by a Ford dealership and see if they have their Lightning demo. The Cars.com shows that they have one, but it's a stock image, so I don't know if it's in transit or whatever. There is a dealer in Denver, also in the Denver area in Aurora, that has a Lightning pictured there. That's the picture of the actual unit, but they're not open on Monday. And then we're going to try to get to the Lucid studio early and get that test drive in. It's been a nice trip. This is the first time I've road tripped in any kind of EV. The only EV that I've driven is my Fiat 500, and it can't do a road trip like this because it doesn't have the ability to fast charge. And these chargers are too far apart for it. There would have been too many stretches that we just could not have done with no way to charge at all. And even if we did have a way to charge when we needed to, we'd have to park for 3 hours with that car. This one, longest we've ever sat still is about 35 minutes, and that was going from 6% to 100%. So charging not a problem with this Model 3. So for our road trip coming up in September, shouldn't be any problem then either. Sun is coming up in the background. He predicted sunrise in Colorado Springs, and he was right. Next stop, Denver area. We're gonna do a side stop in Centennial and then go into downtown. This is a Lightning XLT in Oxford White. we were not able to get the demo in the Lightning in Centennial because they weren't taking it out for demos. Got the EV6 check and couldn't take video of the Lucid demo, but I'll get some thoughts on what the Lucid was like when we stopped to charge in Colorado Springs, but we're on the way home, and tut tut, looks like rain. So we're back in Trinidad, Colorado at the Tesla Supercharger here at this Shell station next to the Holiday Inn Express. Electrify America station is just on the other side, Interstate 25 over here. We are 11 miles from the New Mexico border. We're at 6340 right now, and we go up to 7840 or 7820 or something like that at the summit of the Raton Pass. And then downhill into Raton, get on I think it's US 64, and we'll take it into Clayton, New Mexico, to where the next supercharger is at that ranch market. And once again, we'll be there in the middle of the night with nobody open next to somebody's houses. Not much footage from Colorado Springs to here because I slept. My colleague here drove from Colorado Springs to about 22 miles north of Trinidad, and we switched there, and in that time I got some sleep finally. So fresh, ready to go again. We'll get us into Trinidad, then on into Amarillo. When we get back into the daylight and we don't have to worry about noise and stuff, and it's not chilly. I mean, we're both Texans. We came from 99 degrees, and right now it's 64 up here and just rained, so it's a little chilly. He's in the car sleeping, and but when we get into the daylight, I'll get some thoughts on the demo drives that he took earlier today in the Kia EV6 and the Lucid Air. The Lucid Air is a beautiful car. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful car. And then in the morning, I'm going to get to actually drive an F-150 Lightning, and it's a platinum trim. So we'll try to get video of that as well. I'm probably not going to do much in the way of travel montage between here and Clayton, and so we'll see you at the Clayton Supercharger. We're now in Clayton, New Mexico. We got here with 36% state of charge. The car says 25 minutes. I misremembered a lot of stuff when I was in Trinidad. This was only a 108 mile leg. The next one from here to Amarillo is 125. Through a bunch of different roads until we get back to Interstate 40. And I didn't need to get a full charge in Trinidad, but I do need to get a full charge here. So just keeping things posted, and I'll check back in with you guys in Amarillo. We are now at the Amarillo Supercharger, the one by the Holiday Inn. And we haven't decided yet whether we're going to hit the other Amarillo charger before we head to Childress, or if we just head to Childress. So stay tuned for that. There's not much to see around here, and we'll do our best. We decided to stop at the East Amarillo charger. It makes the run to Childress a lot easier in this car. Only here for a few minutes, and we're going to get back on the road. Going to get some rest between this stop and the next. So again, it's dark, not much to see. See you in Childress. Back in Childress, Texas at the Pack-A-Sack. We need to stop in Henrietta, and then we need to stop in Denton, and then we're going to Stanley Ford of Pilot Point to test drive an F-150 Lightning Platinum, have lunch, and then charge in Fort Worth, and then we're done with the trip. We go home. Here we are back at the Dinosaur Supercharger at the Texas Best Smokehouse in Henrietta. Be getting on the road here in a few minutes. We finally have sun. It's hot again. So we'll try to get some thoughts on the trip. It was a neat trip, fun learning how to road trip on an EV. He got to drive a Kia EV6. First place that we stopped at was a Ford dealer that had an XLT F-150 Lightning on it, and it looked to me like it was set up to be a demo, but when I called the dealership after they opened, they said no, that one doesn't go anywhere, so they're not letting anybody drive their demo with that one. And then later on in the day, he got to test drive the Lucid, and I'm going to try to get him on camera to get some of his ideas. But that Lucid Air, it was the $154,000 trim. That is a beautiful car, and one of the probably the most luxurious car I've ever sat in. Acceleration was great. It tracked like it was a slot car with a groove, with a tongue in the front and a tongue in the back. It didn't understeer, it didn't oversteer, it just tracked perfectly in hard cornering. Had a nice ride, plenty of leg room, all kinds of tech gadgets. Super nice store too on the inside of this mall in Denver, and that was the whole point of him taking this trip, was to go up to this Lucid studio in Denver to drive the car. My point of the trip was to get used to this car, this specific car that he's going to loan us in September for our trip to Tennessee. So what's left for us on the trip right now? It's about 8 in the morning, 8:20 in the morning. After we're done charging here, we're going to deviate from our route. Their next stop is a Tesla Supercharger in Denton, and then from there we're going to go to Stanley Ford of Pilot Point. Yesterday afternoon in Denver around lunchtime, dinner time, I went on cars.com and found another Lightning on our route, and this one they're going to let me drive. So I'm going to try to get a video on that, and if it's good enough we might put it in a separate video, or I might just put the highlights in this one. I have no idea, but I'll check back with you in Denton and further on the road. We're almost done with the trip and almost home. Welcome to the Denton Tesla Supercharger. We're in front of a Petco and a Joann's. We got a Panda Express, and right about a couple hundred yards away from us over there, in front of course, the Walmart, is the Electrify America station. We're about 24 miles away. We're about 24 miles away from Stanley Ford and Pilot Point. So the next stop after this is to go play with an F-150 Lightning Platinum. Looking forward to it, and I'll let you know how it goes. So we're pretty much at the end of our trip. We've done our last charge. We just had lunch here. So if you're ever in Denton, I highly recommend Taqueria La Estrella. So it looks like a hole in the wall, but that's always a sign of good food. So before we wrap up stuff on the road trip, what were your thoughts on the Lucid and the EV6?
Well, I liked what you said, that when we were driving the EV6, you thought, when I was driving the EV6, you thought you were going to die.
Yeah, a little bit.
when I was driving the Lucid, you thought I was a professional driver.
Yeah.
So I think that says it all.
That car tracked so well. It was amazing. But
Rolls level nice too.
Yeah. So, but thanks for the trip. It was an enjoyable trip. It was a great experience learning stuff about the Model 3. And I'm going to finish this so I don't have to edit anymore. So that'll be it.